I was arrested twice for the same charges.
That was another thing, yes, because we got arrested first, and then some of you, the record disappeared.
I lost my car, I lost my house, I had to break up with the girl that I was dating at the time.
It's extremely sad.
They've taken a guy that's willing to do anything to protect the people around him to somebody who absolutely hates Fulton County.
It is not about being guilty, and it is not about committing the crime. It was about getting a conviction. Throughout all these 8 years, you already have suffered a lot of consequences for this.
Yes, I was arrested twice for the same charges.
That was another thing, yes, because we got arrested first, and then some of you, the record disappeared.
Yes, I was arrested by the county that I live in on April 2nd of 2016 while I was working for another agency at the time. I had gone back to work for the state with Georgia Department of Corrections at this point. And I was put on the ground in handcuffs, had my pistol taken off the side of me, sat in a jail cell for multiple hours in the county that I live in, then moved to Roswell, sat there for the rest of the night, moved to Fulton County. Fast forward to, I think it was about 2 months later, I went down there to do an address change. They took the address change and put it in the complaint department, gave it our case number. Fast forward to 2019, whenever the indictments start coming down. They say I was never arrested. The question for this is, how was I able to go down there and do an address change for this case if the case didn't exist and I didn't know about it if I was never arrested?
Going through all these motions, 8 years.
Yes.
8 years for them to offer you a plea.
Yes. I was finally offered a plea after being arrested for the second time in 2020 in February.
I want to make this clear for the audience. He was arrested for second time because they lost the first arrest. They couldn't find it in the system.
Yes.
This is Fulton County.
Which the original arrest caused me to lose my job with Department of Corrections, which meant that I had no money coming in. I lost my car, I lost my house, I had to break up with the girl that I was dating at the time.
Why did they break up? She got scared or what?
She got scared that I was going to go to prison for the rest of my life.
So we are going to talk about that in one opportunity because our love life has gone through hell throughout these 8 years as well.
Yes. She thought that I was going to go to prison for the rest of my life, if not a large majority of it. She said, I don't want to deal with this, I'm sorry. So fast forward to 2019, following finding out that AYA had been raided by GBI following the 17 August incident in 2015, I found out by watching WSB News. One of my co-defendants actually called me and said, hey, turn on the news, our school's been raided. So at that point, I didn't have a job, so I went to work with Georgia Department of Corrections. I didn't know that I had charges against me. I didn't have any indication that anything would ever come of this. I thought that it was just done. So I was driving down the road on April 2nd of 2016, was pulled over by the local county sheriff and was arrested because I had a warrant out of Fulton County. Was held
That's how you learn.
Yeah, that's how I found out. Was being taken out of the car with a full felony stop, guns drawn, everything, because the fact that I had a weapon on me as a mandated officer for the state,
Correct.
they saw that as a threat to their lives, and rightfully so. So
That's
I was
the training.
That's part of the training.
That's officer training.
I was placed on the ground. I had my firearm removed from my hip. I was placed in handcuffs, put in the back of the car, and that's when I found out you have 2 warrants out of Fulton County for cruelty to children.
What cruelty to children?
At first, I thought it was somebody messing with me, and I actually had to call my parents to bail me out. As a corrections officer, I'm working for the state, so I had gone to multiple different prisons to work, and I called my mom and said, hey, I'm sitting in jail right now. Can you come pick me up? She said, oh, is your car broke down? And remember, this is April 2nd, so the day before is April Fool's Day. And she thought I was messing with her, too.
Yes.
And she's like, stop playing, that's not funny. I'm like, no, this is real. I'm actually sitting in jail right now. I've been arrested. So my dad came up, bailed me out of jail. We went home, and I was actually in the process of moving at the time. And so I went down to Fulton County to do a change of address because the next day I was, unloading the U-Haul. They had told me, yeah, come on in, do your change of address, everything will be fine. During all this, we didn't think anything would really come of it. I said, there's got to be a mistake, let the attorneys do something. But we went from 2016 to 2019 without hearing anything. So I figured, okay, it's probably just dropped. It was, some kind of hiccup. Eventually, I'll get a letter in the mail saying it's been dismissed. That ended up not happening. I get a letter in the mail on towards the end of August in 2019. And it shows that the last day in the afternoon, right before the close of day for the last day before the
They
statute of
dropped the
limitations
cases.
would have ran out, they had decided to indict us. I said, well, that's okay. I'm able to fight my case now and actually get this resolved. Of course, now we're sitting in 2023, and we know how that ended.
Exactly.
During all this, because of being arrested, I lost my job at Georgia Department of Corrections, lost my house, lost my car. The girl I was dating at the time broke up with me. It was extremely stressful during all this, but I tried to keep my spirits up because I had faith in the system.
Because you know that you are not guilty.
I knew I was not
You
guilty.
know that you are innocent.
I knew I was innocent.
That's what
I didn't
keeps
do
us
anything
up
wrong.
and running.
And, that was the only thing keeping my head above water. I lost contact with my best friend, Defendant Clay. He had found out about it the same night as I did and decided to break contact because he knew that something was going to happen from the way that we kind of pieced stuff together after all this. He said, I knew that they would tell us to be separate, not talk. And he said that it broke his heart too because, we were best
Who
friends.
told you to be separate and not talk?
His attorney had told him.
The attorneys. Okay.
I was there when he proposed to his wife. I was there, whenever his father-in-law found out that they were having a baby. When, we were as close as can possibly be. I mean, he's the closest thing to a brother that I've got.
That's painful.
It is. And we went 8 years without talking at all. And finally, whenever all this came down, I caught him at the elevator and said, dude, I don't have any ill will towards you. I, want to get your number so we can stay in touch. I still thought of him as one of my best friends.
Absolutely. Don't you think that he may feel guilty because he brought you into a way?
He said that he did. I've talked to him since then, and, we've patched things up. We text back and forth. He's not living in Georgia now, but, we're trying to link up and, hang out.
I think everybody wants to leave Georgia after what happened.
Yeah. My wife and I are looking at moving to Wyoming.
Yes. We did just leave the state once and for all after finding out so much injustice.
Yeah, they really treated us wrong. As a mandated officer in the state of Georgia, if you've got a case taken in front of the grand jury, you have the right to be there. We were denied that right. Whenever my attorney brought that up, Judge Krause said, oh, well, that's going to be overturned, so we're just going to move forward with this now.
To overturn everything, every motion that we put in that was not in favor of the DA's office.
Yes, that's correct. And I really had hope for that one because I thought, okay, this is my chance to actually have it overturned, realize the system is wrong, because from the time I was 18 until the time that I was arrested, I worked for the government. I had full faith in injustice and the program, and I was the guy that enlisted in the Army as an infantryman during the height of the Iraq War. I never fought over there, but that was my intent, and I love this country and I love this state, and I was willing to put my life on the line and die fighting for it if necessary. That's why I came back to work working in law enforcement, and then worked with juveniles so I could help keep them out of trouble. They've taken a guy that's willing to do anything to protect the people around him to somebody who absolutely hates Fulton County. And I want to leave the state, and this is where I was raised the majority of my life.
Correct.
My family has been here, and I don't want anything to do with it. Every time I drive to go see my wife's family, we have to drive past the Fulton County Courthouse because we're going on 75. And so it gets brought up every single time that we're driving by.
I have this question for you. Knowing what you know right now, don't you think that situation about don't talk to each other is kind of a technique?
Yeah, they were trying to divide us.
Exactly. Is it kind of a technique that they use?
It's divide and conquer.
They really don't have evidence.
If you look back in history at the Spartans, the Battle of Thermopylae, the Battle of 300, they made a couple movies about it. The reason why they were strong is because their lines were together, their shields were crossed, and they were able to fight the Persians through that. And they know if you're divided, you're not going to be nearly as strong as if you were all together working as a team.
Not only that, but also they are able to use their fear and intimidation against each one of us.
Exactly.
Because each one of us is going to perceive it differently.
Yes.
Each one of us is going to be perceiving fear and intimidation completely different. So they're going to be talking in your ear, then they actually act like the devil.
Yeah.
Talking in your ear, talking in my ear, talking in the ear of the other, and with the intention to not only turn us against each other so they can have something, but also to manipulate us better so we can be convicted.
Yes.
Because in reality, and one thing that I want to close this today with this, it is not about being guilty, and it is not about committing the crime. In this case, and that's what I call it, the setup. In this case, it was about getting a conviction. It was about us not suing them. for
Exactly.
destroying our lives for 8 years. They knew from the beginning that we were not guilty. They knew from the beginning that they were accusing non-criminals, okay, of crimes that they didn't commit. They knew this, but they did not care. They did not care about you. They did not care about me or your family, everything that you lost.
In their eyes, we're disposable.
Exactly. And they definitely, the only thing they cared about was at the end, putting that little medal on their shoulders saying, oh, I got another conviction.
Exactly.
It's very sad. It's extremely sad. What would you have to say in this last minute that we have to the audience?
I don't regret anything that I did while I worked for AYA or worked for the state. I have every intention of, even though I'm not working there anymore to protect the children that were students there as well as the staff. That's why I'm not saying any names, because even the ones that were involved in the altercation that attacked us, I still want to protect their identities, and I want them to know that I don't have any hard feelings towards them, because that's not the kind of man that I am. I want to move forward with this, but Fulton County, you were wrong.
Thank you very much to everybody for watching us. And this is one more episode of The Setup. You heard it was another person who is also saying and feeling they did nothing wrong. Thank you so much.